You're watching the Mortgage Busters show, and my name is Greg. And you know, this show is all about paying your mortgage down at a fast rate of knots, but so you can be free and enjoy life and live to the max. But also, you need to prepare for retirement, and you need about, what is it, Adrian? Oh, hi, Adrian. How are you going? What do you need? About
1.5 million.
You need minimum. So you need
Maximum.
$1.5 million to retire today. It was about 5 years ago you needed about $1 million, but I reckon it's getting closer to 2 mil because you need about 5% of a sum of money, which is about $2 million. 5% of that is $100,000 per year, which is a comfortable retirement.
Plus your house paid off.
Yeah, exactly. No other debts. No mortgage at least. Anyway, how are you?
Very good, thank you. This is part 2, by the way, of our last
Of
session.
course, part 2 of.
I don't know any.
Well, let's find out from Steve McClatchy from Loans Australia. How you going?
G'day, Greg. How are you?
So what was part 1 was all about how to pay the mortgage off, which is the Mortgage Freedom Academy, which you introduced
Loans
last
Australia.
week. Yep.
That's right. Open that up to try and help people pay off their mortgage quicker.
Correct.
It's all about how to pay it off quickly, how to put yourself back in control, not relying just on what the banks are telling you, that you actually have to come up with your own strategy. Because we've got to remember, the banks are there to make their profit.
Of course they are.
No problem. It's a business.
Yes.
So you have to take your mortgage into your own hands. You've got to look for the best deal. Then once you've got the best deal, it's how do you rapidly pay it off. And we're going to talk today about a couple of key points. We're going to talk about debt weapons. We're going to talk about one key one in particular, which is about what we call a rapid freedom loan. And
Rapid Freedom Loan.
Yes.
Sorry, yes.
It's a special loan that's come out recently, and we're going to talk about that and how that we can use that as a debt weapon to pay your mortgage off even quicker. And we're also going to talk about the famous Mortgage Busters thumbprint report.
Yes, of course.
And I know
Which
the
we've got
viewers,
a sample of one right here. There it is here.
Now, what are they?
Thumbprint
So
report.
what's it all about? The thumbprint.
Well, we'll give you a bit more detail later in the show.
Oh, okay.
But really, it's a synopsis from, we get an inquiry from the show, which we get weekly. We get numbers of, dozens of inquiries on a weekly basis. We have a show per week, and we have 2 repeats as well. So we get quite a reaction to the show, and this report really demonstrates how viewers can take advantage of the show and our expert advice, like yourself, and get started with paying the mortgage down at a fast rate of knots.
Fantastic.
Let's start. The thumbprint's a good start for them
Absolutely.
to just put their bits and pieces together, understand where they're going.
Okay.
And what the future's going to be like.
Yeah.
You need the basic details to get started.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's have a look at a bit of content. We'll have a look. This is what we briefly talked about last week. We talked about people having trouble paying off their mortgage. They're worried about having enough money for their kids to have get into their first home. And one way of doing that is if you can pay your mortgage off quicker, you're going to have equity available to help your kids out to move forward. It's about how do you have a lifestyle in retirement, because these days mortgages are going up to 40 years now, the new ones. So by the time you retire, you basically just pay the mortgage off. So, do you have time to even build an asset base outside of your mortgage? That's what it's all about. So that's what we briefly talked about last week. What we're going to have a look at now is a slight recap on the issue of how mortgages are designed. This is a typical mortgage that banks have designed, which takes into account what we call compound interest. So when you're making a payment, you're paying compound interest to the bank. And in the first 7 or so years of the mortgage, over 80% of each repayment is interest to the bank, profit. You're not actually paying your home off, you're just paying interest. In actual fact, you come along here to year 25 and you're still paying 53% of every repayment in interest. Less than 50% of your repayments actually principal paying your mortgage off. Just imagine if we could turn this around. In the first 7 to 10 years, we could flip that on its head and actually pay closer to 50% principal. Wouldn't that be phenomenal?
Yeah, amazing.
And that's what it's all about. We've got to get the right strategy. We've got to take action, because if you don't take action, you're not going to get anywhere, are you? Bottom line is you're not going to get anywhere. We'll make you accountable. We'll help you be accountable, and then you're going to get results. That's what it's all about. So that was a recap of last week. What we've then got to understand is this is traditionally how people are operating. What people traditionally do is they spend first, and save second. That's what we all do. The pay comes in, automatically direct debits are going out, it's all happening and not much is left at the end of the day. So we have to change that. We have to save first and spend later. That's what the principle of paying your mortgage off is all about. Save first, spend later. Okay, that's the beginning part of it.
Point taken.
Okay. Yeah. This is the structure that people should start considering. So instead of having accounts everywhere, which we talked about last time, they've got to have a regimented process of how they're going to do that. One of the ways we do it is a lot of people get disenchanted. They've got this massive mortgage of $350,000. They think it's never going to be paid off. It's going to take 30, 40 years. So don't really worry about it. So what we find is more effective is breaking your mortgage down into two components. A very small component of maybe $30,000, $40,000 and the balance in a second account. The reason why we do that is people find it easier to have a target or a goal. And if you have a goal that's more achievable,
yes,
they've got much more likelihood of achieving it. And we've found that is a really good way to help people.
So it's like bite-sized chunks.
Bite-sized chunks, exactly right. So that's why we have two home mortgages when we set up the optimal structure for a client. And what we don't want people having all these random accounts everywhere. We want every single dollar that they have somehow sitting against their mortgage, saving interest on their home loan. And there's a number of mechanisms we do that. And we also like a facility called simple interest. Simple interest is a facility which is not taking into account compound interest, which the banks want. We're doing simple interest. So you're paying a lot less back to the banks over a longer period of time. So we need to turn it into a simple interest. A lot of people we find have lots of credit cards. Their limits are pretty high, the interest rates are very high, and most people do not pay their credit card off in full every month. So what we like to do is we like to peg the credit card limit at what their average monthly expenditure is. That way, once they hit that limit on a monthly basis, they have to really think about, do they really need that thing they're going to spend it on? Because it's not on their average expenditure.
Yeah.
If they don't keep to the average expenditure, they're never going to be accountable.
Yeah.
They're never going to pay it off. So that's the structure we're going to look at. There's a basic startup. There's a few extra things to it, which we'll talk about later on. That gets the structure right.
Okay,
Starting properly.
We're going to go to a break, but I want to come back to just briefly explain it again, the simple interest versus the compound interest, just to reiterate after the break. All right, you've been watching the Mortgage Busters show. We'll be back momentarily. You're watching the Mortgage Busters show, and we're with Steve McClatchy from Loans Australia. Steve.
Greg, we were talking about how to correctly structure your finances optimally to get the best result possible. And I gave you some tips before of how we do it. It's a little bit different than what other people do it, but we actually like getting results. We don't want our clients to have loans for 30 or 40 years. We want them to pay it off rapidly. One of the reasons why we want them to pay it off rapidly is a system we've talked about called compound interest. Compound interest only works with time. The longer you've got, the more money you make. Because that interest you're earning today, next month you're earning interest on the interest you earned the month before. So it goes compounds and all of a sudden it goes up, up and up and up. But most people start investing when they're 55 years old because they've taken so long to pay off their home loan. So the idea is to pay off your home loan quicker, get into investing quicker so you can make more money over a period of time. Let those properties compound over a long period of time.
Now that to me makes sense.
It's pretty simple, really.
It is, yeah.
Part of the structure that we do is that, as I said before, we split the home loan into two portions. One a very small portion, the bite-sized chunks, as you said, to have a real attainable goal.
Is this complicated? Can it be easily done? Is it
Well, look, we've been doing it
procedure?
for years. So for us, it's standard procedure, but not for most people.
Okay.
But it can be done. So what we also do, we set up a third split on a loan, like a third loan account, separate loan number. The reason why I do that, we call this future investment split. What it's about is that once you've got your home loan under control and you can see it's going down nicely for you, what you then want to do is utilise your equity or good debt to start building your wealth. And most people do that by a debt weapon we call investment property. So there's lots of different types of property you can buy.
Debt weapon. I love
Debt
that
weapon.
term. Yeah, that's fantastic.
The reason why we call it a debt weapon, it is debt, but you're using it in a strategic process to actually pay off your home loan quicker. It's amazing. You would think by taking on more debt, it's going to take longer to pay off your home loan. It's not actually the case.
The other way around.
Correct.
Because you're actually getting rental income coming in, you're getting taxation benefits, and all these things should go then off your home, not off the investment property, and that will help you pay your home loan off quicker, which we'll have a look at. So this third split we use to use equity to start your investments. That's the idea. Then obviously we get loans on the investments. We don't want to link them all together. We've talked about that before. We don't want cross-collateralisation. We want each property standing on its own so the banks don't have control over everything.
Yeah, for protection.
Protection, yes, very important. So that's the basic structure. 2 splits for your home, a split then for each of your properties as you're growing your portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's interest only too. We need to.
Yeah, simple interest is interest only. So we're then taking it off the banks. The banks want principal interest, which is compound interest. We want simple interest, which puts us in control.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main debt weapon that everyone utilises, which we find gives you a great result, is cash flow positive properties. Now, a lot of people are getting into investment for the first time. And when they do that, you've got to really think about how much debt you want. Do you want to go out and buy a $600,000 investment property? Or maybe you should start with something a bit smaller, which is going to be more cash flow positive to help you pay your home off quicker.
So just bringing it back to total basics, cash flow positive property is it's making you more than what you're actually spending.
Yes, as simple as
the
it is.
outgoings is less
Instead
than the
of
incoming.
negative gearing,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
Negative gearing means you're making
Money.
a loss.
Just for the benefits of the viewers, we don't want to make sure that it's really clear.
Yep.
Yeah. And
All right, so negative gearing basically means you're making a loss. So therefore, you're relying on capital growth over time, rising prices to actually make money.
only.
So if the market doesn't go up, you're losing money.
The expenses are more than what you're getting in through rent, and the interest is more, and you're paying out more than what you're getting in. But positive cash flow, you're actually more money's come in than going out.
Yes.
So you're in a positive situation.
It also helps people buy more property.
Yes.
Because they're actually making more money. They're not losing
Absolutely,
money every
yeah,
property
yeah,
they
yeah. We
take
love
on.
that strategy.
And get rid of
love
their
it.
own
Yeah, yeah,
property
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
own loan.
So in this sort of example, around the 250,000 mark is where you can sort of start from what we've seen.
Yep.
Now, what I want to show you quickly is taking these debt weapons and how do you fund these properties? So there's 2 main ways that clients fund the properties.
Yes.
They
It
can
just
either...
magically appeared.
Oh,
wow.
it's amazing. I'm pretty quick.
Yeah, fantastic.
So there's 2 main ways our clients mainly do it. It's either in their personal name structure or in what we call an SMSF, which is self-managed super fund structure. So 2 ways. There's different benefits of both. We're taking an average price of $350,000 in this example. Buying in your own name, we're going to get a loan of 90%. So we need to put in 10% plus all the costs of buying, like your stamp duty, which is about $60,000. So you're going to get a loan from the bank of $315,000. The interest only repayment at 4.8% is $1,260 on the $315,000.
Wow.
And then most people borrow everything. They get, as we said in the structure, you borrow the money out of your line of third split. So on the $60,000, you're going to pay $240 per month interest only. So adding these 2 together, you'll have a monthly repayment of $1,500 to afford it. Now the rental income's about $300 per week, which is $1,300. So you're getting $1,300 in. In this case here, there's $1,500 you've got to pay out. So you're $200 down on a monthly basis. So how do you fund the shortfall? So the first way is tax benefits. So if you buy a new property and you get full depreciation, that's going to help you cover pretty much all of this shortfall. But if you're buying an old established property where you don't get all the depreciation, you're going to have a shortfall which has to be funded out of your own pocket. So that's option 1.
Negative gearing.
Negative gearing.
Negative gearing.
Option 2 over here is buying in a self-managed super fund structure. In this case here, we can only borrow up to 80% of the residential price or 70% of commercial. So you need to borrow $280,000 and therefore you need to put in $87,000 of your own. But the difference is you don't have to borrow that $87,000. It actually comes from the savings balance in your super fund. So you don't have a debt on the $87,000 to pay off, whereas you do here personally. Okay?
And you can put more in, of course, if you've got
you can put extra
$200,000,
contributions in.
So again,
No,
this
plus
is
the contribution.
you can elect. You actually can elect to create your own self-managed super fund.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
So you can go to an accountant or financial planner and they'll set it all up for you.
As compared to, say, somebody, Hester or someone of those other major AMP or...
Yeah, you can't do this with them.
Yeah.
Basically, if you go with your Hesters or AMPs, they're controlling your funds, making all the decisions.
And you want to take control back
Yes.
so that you're
That's right.
controlling...
Self-managed means you manage it.
Yeah.
You make the controls with your financial planner.
Yeah.
You come up with the investment strategy. In this case here, your repayments are $1,342 because you're only borrowing 80%. Your rent's the same at $1,300 a month. Therefore, your shortfall is only $42. And this shortfall is made up of the contributions you're making to super.
We've got about 30
every month.
seconds left.
So here, basically, it's completely self-funded because all you're paying your repayments of your 9.5% is making up the $42
You'd
per
actually
month.
I love
be
that.
positive.
We have to go to a break, but this is the financial thumbprint which you need to take advantage of. We'll talk about more about this after the break. You're watching the Mortgage Busters show, and we're with Steve McClatchy from Loans Australia. Steve.
Thanks, Greg. What we were talking about last show was comparing buying a debt weapon we're talking about, this time property, and looking at buying it either in a personal name or via your self-managed super fund. So what we determined was if you bought it yourself, it's going to be a bit more negative in cash flow generally each month. That negativity is funded either if it's a new property via depreciation, they'll pretty much cover the whole lot. Otherwise, you've got to fund it out of your pocket, hence negative gearing, the concept.
So in
of
other words,
negative
it's going to cost you a bit more than what it's going to come in.
That's right, in most cases.
Yeah.
The other option is if you do it via self-managed super fund, instead of having to borrow the deposit, which most people do, that deposit comes out of your superannuation balance. Therefore, you're not having to repay that money back. So you're only in effect getting a loan on 80% of the value of that property you're buying. The interest rates are higher in self-managed super funds, but still because you're borrowing less, your repayments are $1,342 per month and the rent's around $1,300 per month. Therefore, the shortfall's $42. And that shortfall is funded via the contributions you're making to your super. So your 9.5% that you get from your employer go into your self-managed and help fund the shortfall.
So that'll be positive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be positive.
Yeah.
So what all this means, because at the end of the day, we're talking, you want strategy. This is one way to get into property, but then once you get into the property, you want to know how's it going to affect you. And this is what Mortgage Freedom does. But firstly, before they even get this far into Mortgage Freedom, the first thing they've got to do is get a thumbprint report.
Yeah.
So the first thing, get on the website, Mortgage Busters, order your thumbprint report, which is free to all the people, all the viewers, and then you'll be able to access things like this. So what this is showing is on a home loan of $410,000, at year 25, you still owe $108,000 on the typical mortgage.
25 years.
It takes a long, long time to pay it off. Now, by utilising our strategic approach at Mortgage Freedom, you can actually pay your home loan off in about 7 or 8 years.
It's crazy.
If you take action, you be accountable, then you're going to get the results.
So you're talking about 18 years of savings.
It's massive. In 7 or 8 years when you've paid it off, you still owe about $330,000 on the typical mortgage. You're $330,000 ahead. And at the same time, you've actually also bought an investment property for $350,000.
That was my question.
From day one, you got your debt weapon going, your investment property, and actually helps turbocharge the results on your home loan.
So you got 2 properties for the price.
For more, less than the price of one.
It's better than that.
Because
It's
once
even better than that.
you've paid your home loan off, you then start
More.
to pay your investment loan off, and you've paid your investment loan off in about 12 years as well.
Wow.
And then you do it again.
Yeah, well,
course.
what I would do is start buying your second one a couple of years down.
Yeah.
Because you've got to let compound interest grow. The quicker you get into your properties, the quicker compound interest will take over and help grow the value of your properties, your investments.
Yeah.
So in this case here, you've paid off your home, you've paid off your first investment property within about 12 years, and you still would have owed $280,000 in your home. You would have owed $280,000, so you can still do what you're doing now, owe $280,000 on your home,
Only one place.
pay off your home, pay off an investment property within 12 years.
This is what excites me, is all this space here. All this
Yes.
space here, because really
It's savings.
It's paying you're paying out all this money here.
That's
But
right.
all this space, this blank space here is savings. Isn't
That's
it?
right.
It's fantastic.
It's only getting worse for people over here
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah.
keep doing what the banks tell them to do. So they've got to change the way you think. Don't do what the banks have traditionally shown you. Change it, and you can pay your home loan off, pay an investment property off with plenty of years to go to give you the equity to help your kids get ahead in life if that's what you want to
You've
do.
only done this over 25 years. Imagine you do it to the 30 or 40
That's right.
years.
You're gonna be a long way
Where
ahead.
most people are now.
That's right. Now what I want to talk about is a second debt weapon. This is really exciting. It's just been released into the market. Very
Another
small release.
exclusive.
It's called the Rapid Freedom Home Loan. Doesn't that sound great?
Rapid
It's out
Freedom
there. Another TMB
Home loan.
exclusive.
Absolutely. And it is a debt
Mortgage
weapon
Busters
to the extreme.
exclusive.
Let me explain how this works. Are you interested?
No.
Absolutely.
No, no,
well,
no.
the viewers need to be interested.
Absolutely. So what we've got over here, we've got a home and we've got an investment property. This product only works with at least you having at least an investment property as well. So it's not for first home buyers, it's for people who already got a property. So that's one of the reasons why we show these debt weapons. Maybe the first step might be to get into a property, investment property, then you can take advantage of this program. So as we talked about before, we set your home loan up with 3 accounts, generally 2 for your home loans, 1 for the investment split. So what you're going to do is you're going to take equity out of your home to purchase your investment property. So generally you take out a 20% deposit plus the cost of buying it, and then you're going to get an 80% loan on the investment property over here. So how this works is that the bigger the investment loan compared to the home loan is the bigger the discount they give you on your home loan. So what I mean by that is, if you had a home loan of about $200,000 and you had an investment loan, this could be across a couple of properties of $400,000, you're going to end up with a home loan interest rate of around about 3% and an investment loan interest rate of around about 5.5%.
Which is still... Is this fixed at all?
No, it's variable.
Okay.
It gets better.
No, okay.
This product actually has an ATO ruling which says, even though this interest rate is higher, the ATOs are letting you claim the full tax deduction on the interest rate on the investment property, because all this lender's done is they've taken a rate, let's say they wanted 4.8%. All they've done is increase the rate over here and the savings they've given you over here. So they've made the home loan rate cheaper, they've made the investment loan more expensive, and the ATOs agreed that they'll let you have a full deduction on that, because their goal is for people to pay their home off.
Yeah.
They don't want people getting into retirement and still having a home loan.
Yeah.
So they've actually given their sanction for this product to do that.
Makes sense. No more retirement.
Now, the great thing about this, depending on how big your home loan is and your investment loan, you can actually have a home loan as low as 2.5%. That's how low your home loan could be.
What?
2.5%.
And we're not talking about Japan.
Okay, hang on.
No.
Where's the catch? Where's the catch? Hang on.
There is no catch.
There is no check.
No?
All it is, it's a simple formula that the lender has. It depends on how big your home loan is, how big your investment loans are. We put it into our calculator we have, and it tells you exactly what the interest rates are going to be.
So 2.5 on the home,
Yes?
and then say
So what it is,
a fairly competitive rate
It-
anyway.
It's the RBA rate, the Reserve Bank rate,
Okay, yeah.
plus 0.5% is the minimum it could be. So the RBA rate's 2%,
Yep.
plus half, so that's the smallest it could be.
Yep.
And over here, the most it could be is RBA plus 3.5, which is 5.5%. That's the maximum. So the maximum is 5.5, the minimum is 2.5.
But all your benefits are there.
Massive.
Yeah.
You can pay your home loan off a lot
Yeah.
quicker, and you get your full deduction on your investment property as well.
Oh, this
It's
is amazing
magnificent.
stuff. We really should be doing
Rapid
another
freedom.
show. Yeah, rapid freedom. Okay, so we need debt weapon number 1, debt weapon number 2.
It's all available through the Mortgage
The
Busters
Mortgage
show.
Busters show. So we're running out of time. Very quickly, Steve McClatchy from Loans Australia, thanks yet again.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks,
Thanks
Adrian.
very much, Adrian. Thank you. This is our financial thumbprint report. You need to get this done. You need to do it pronto. So get on the treadmill that's going to save you money. Pay your loan down on a fast rate of knots, your home loan, but get your investments up. So you can take advantage of this. The financial thumbprint will get you started. You've been watching the Mortgage Busters. My name's Greg, and we'll see you next time.